The high-output quad-4 cylinder head is fastened to the cylinder block by 10 bolts. There are 2 coolant plugs in the head. These do not conceal head bolts and require no service unless they're leaking. These plugs must be transferred to a replacement cylinder head. It is also necessary to install a soft plug in the front end of the cylinder head when the head is replaced. Now you can see the 4-valve per cylinder configuration of the high-output Quad 4. Powdered metal guides and inserts assure accurate positioning of the valves. Both the intake and the exhaust valves are designed for minimum friction and optimum airflow. Intake valves with a diameter of 36.5 millimeters or 1.44 inches are slightly larger than the exhaust valves, which have a 31.5 millimeter or 1.24 inch diameter. The valve springs are conical shaped to fit inside the lifter body. These direct-acting valve lifters have an hydraulic lash adjuster. The design eliminates the need for any service while reducing operating noise from the valve train. Rotators are fitted on the bottom of all 16 valve springs for longer life of the valve face and seat. Be sure to transfer the valve rotators if a new cylinder head is installed. Positive valve stem seals are also used on all 16 valves. With the head removed, the sintered iron pressed-in-place valve guides can be seen. A non-serviceable wire ring is a stop for the guide as it is pressed into the head. The only allowable service on these non-replaceable guides is to ream them 0.010 of an inch or 0.254 millimeters with a valve guide reamer. Be sure to clean the bore before and after the reaming procedure. You can install oversized valves and use standard seals. The valve seats are also sintered iron and are pressed in place. They are not replaceable but can be ground when needed. Because of the precision construction of the valves, they should be replaced. There is insufficient material on the valve face to permit any grinding. However, hand lapping is permitted if needed. Whenever the cylinder head is removed, it should be inspected for flatness and cracks. The cylinder head may have surface checking, but do not replace the head because of this condition. Variance cannot exceed 0.005 of an inch or 0.127 millimeters over the length of the cylinder head. Resurfacing of the head is allowed, but do not remove more than 0.010 of an inch or 0.254 millimeters. The intake ports and valves were designed for optimum flow and efficiency. The ports are a Siamese design, and the dividers are shaped to have a minimal effect on the injector spray pattern. The exhaust ports feature a similar Siamese design. If the oil flow check valve must be removed from the engine block, apply the tool and a slide hammer into the check valve. Rotate the tool 90 degrees to lock it under the indentations of the valve. Now, pull the check valve from the block. Caution! If the check ball is missing from the valve, it may have dropped into the oil gallery and must be located and removed. Always install a new check valve when servicing this component. Use the special tool and hammer to seat the valve into the capsule seat. Gently tap the new valve into the block. There will be a distinct change of sound as the valve seats. Be sure the check valve is fully seated in the block. A properly seated check valve should be slightly below the deck surface of the block. The oil pan can now be removed. To do this, remove the front and rear flywheel inspection covers. Remove the bolt on the radiator outlet tube and unfasten the transaxle to oil pan nut. Remove the stud with a 7 millimeter socket. Remove the other transaxle to pan bolt and the oil pan bolts. The crankshaft may have to be rotated to gain clearance from the crank throws. There is another aluminum and silicone gasket located between the pan and the engine block. This gasket may be reused if it is not damaged. Inspect the strips of silicone across the top of the aluminum carrier at the oil pan cylinder block chain housing three-way joint. If these strips are damaged, they may be repaired using RTV sealer part number 1052915. Use only enough sealer to restore the silicone strip to its original dimension. Excess application of RTV sealer may cause part misalignment and oil leaks.